Now for our story. This afternoon, when Randy Lane arrived at the Huntsville Sanitarium to spend some time with Kit Calvert, he learned from the substitute nurse in charge that Kit's father was with the young woman. Well, Randy knew the doctor had forbidden Ben to visit his daughter, but the psychiatrist had been forced to leave for a brief trip the day before. Worried, Randy rushed out to the garden where he found Kit, frightened and hysterical. He demanded that Ben leave, and after some resistance from the older man, Aunt Mary's son managed to get him out. A few minutes later, Dr. Larrabee returned, found Kit sobbing in the arms of her childhood playmate. A little later, in the doctor's office, the house phone rang. Kit refused to quiet down unless Randy was brought to her. Dr. Larrabee decided to allow the young man to visit his patient.
Well, Miss Calvert, what's this about you refusing to take your medicine?
What have you done with him, Dr. Larrabee?
With whom?
You know very well who I mean. Randy Lane, of course.
He's right here, Miss Calvert.
Yes, here I am, Kit.
Randy.
Yes, Kit?
Randy. Oh, Randy, it was you. I guess I knew it all the time somewhere in my mind, but I couldn't admit it.
Well, that's all right, Kit. I understood. You were ill, that's all.
But I've treated you so unfairly.
I didn't blame you.
I was beastly to you that first time you came to see me. And after that, too. Oh, don't think I've forgotten. I remember it only too clearly. But, you see, I was afraid.
I know. It's all right.
No, it isn't. Not yet. I want to tell you about it. Randy, I couldn't admit you were the one. The friend I had when I was a child. You see, I've always told myself if I found him, everything would be different. I said I'd change. Randy, the worst of it is, I know I've done some horrible things in my lifetime.
Everyone does, Kid. Nobody's perfect.
Perfect. I've been so far from perfect, I hate to think of it. But don't you see, Randy, if I'd admitted you were the one, then I'd have had to live up to the bargain I made with myself. I couldn't feel sorry for myself anymore if I accepted you as my friend. I wasn't ready. I didn't want the responsibility of myself, of having to grow up all over again, in a sense. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm trying to.
It isn't easy, I know. It's still all jumbled together in my own head. But today, when you made Dad leave after he'd been storming at me, the way he always used to when I was a child, it was strange, Randy. All of a sudden, I knew I'd found you, that you'd been here all this time, and I was refusing to acknowledge it. But I don't anymore. And when you sent Dad away, I remembered the other time so very clearly, when we were children. You said the same words, you know that? Don't be frightened, kid. And suddenly I knew you were my friend, the one I'd been looking for, the one I thought was lost, the little boy whose name I couldn't remember. You were such a brave little boy, Randy. You still are.
Well, I don't know about that, kid. But there's one thing I do know so far as you're concerned. You can be sure I'll stand by you. That I am your friend.
That's what you told me before, when I was a youngster.
I mean it just as much this minute.
Randy Lane. Randy Lane. Before, just hearing your name, having to say it, I could feel something furious inside me. I know why now. It was because I didn't really want to get well, and I knew I'd have to, Randy, with you on my side.
Kit, you do want to get well now, don't you?
Yes, I do. Honestly, I do if I can. But I think I can if you'll stay, Randy. If you promise not to leave me. Oh, I know I'm far from being myself yet, but I can recover if you're here, if you'll help me. You won't go away, will you?
I'll come back, kid.
But you mustn't leave. Please, you promised.
Well, Randy can't stay here at the sanitarium, Miss Calvert. You know that.
But he must, Dr. Larrabee. I want him to.
No, my dear, he can't stay. But Randy can visit you.
But I want him to be here all the time.
Now, look, kid. I've got work to do, you know. I have a farm to help look after, too.
The farm? Aunt Mary's farm?
Yes, that's right.
Aunt Mary's son, Randy Lee. It's very strange.
Strange that we should be friends?
Yes. When I think of everything that's happened. Oh, Randy, if only I hadn't lost you, it might have been so different. When we were kids, you said you'd teach me to get along with people. But after Dad sent me away to school, I guess I couldn't make it alone. Gradually, the little you had time to teach me was blotted out. Nothing was left but bitterness, resentment. I wonder if I can ever get rid of it. If it's not too late to try.
What do you mean? Of course it's not too late, Kit. We can still make up for lost time.
Will you still teach me, Randy, like you said you would? I have so much to learn.
Not so much, Kit. You see, basically, you've always been a person capable of consideration, of honesty. Only you hid it. Now you'll find that person again.
Oh, if only I can.
Sure you can. We'll work it out together, you and I.
But there's something that frightens me. I couldn't stand it
If what, Miss Calvert?
Dad might come back. He might do what he did before. He might send Randy away.
Yes, but remember, it was Randy who stayed today. It was Randy who sent your father away.
But nobody knows Dad the way I know him. You mustn't think he gives up so easily. I've told you what he is, Dr. Larrabee. You mustn't trust him. I'm afraid.
Listen to me, Kit. You've got to stop thinking that way. I've given you my word that I'm going to stand by you. You've nothing to fear from your father. If it hadn't been for a foolish mistake, he never would have gotten to you today. And, Kit, besides, Dr. Larrabee's going to make you well again. Once you're on your feet, once you're well and healthy again, Ben can bluster and shout as much as he wants.
Yes, that's right, Miss Calvert. You mustn't worry about it. By in another month or two, you're going to be a different person. Afraid of nothing and nobody.
Sure. You'll be able to lick your weight in wildcats.
I'll leave that to you, Randy.
Nah, I think we'd better let Randy go home, huh? You'll take your medicine now, won't you? And go to sleep and rest?
No, I don't want to. Not unless...
Please, Kit. If you don't rest, you won't get well. Would you take it if I gave it to you?
Must I, Randy?
Yes, Kit.
All right, then. If you want me to.
Give her this capsule. I'll pour a glass of water.
Here you are, Kit. This'll help you to sleep, to rest.
Yes, Randy. Yeah.
Ah, good girl. Now go to sleep, Kit. I'll come back to see you real soon.
When, Randy? Tomorrow? Please come tomorrow.
I'll try. Honest, I will. But I must go now. Goodbye, Kid.
I'll be waiting, Randy. Bye.
Gosh, Dr. Larrabee, that's pretty wonderful, isn't it? Well, Kit's like a different person already. A little childlike, but at least rational. Dr. Larrabee, how long do you think it'll be before she's actually back to normal?
Well, that depends on several factors.
See, you know, it's odd. Calvert really did you a good turn in spite of himself. If he hadn't shown up, this might not have happened. And now Kit's going to be all right, isn't she?
Well, I hope so, but...
But what, Doctor? I thought this was exactly what you hoped would happen.
Oh, I did. Only now it may be a little late.
Late? I don't understand.
You see, Randy, I had a call from the district attorney recently. And Craig intends putting Miss Calvert on trial for perjury right away. And if that happens, well, I'm afraid all the gains we've made might be canceled out entirely.
Randy Lane's good-looking face reflected his concern. For although Aunt Mary's son had originally been skeptical as to Kit's possible rehabilitation, he now was very much interested in helping bring it about. Randy agreed with his mother now, hoped it was possible to make of Kit Calvert a normally happy, constructive person. But today he asked himself anxiously if Kit's hopes for recovery were to be destroyed after all.